Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. So today we're going to be talking about something that everyone seems to have an opinion on, electric vehicles or EVs. We've been looking at tons of articles for this one, and even a Sabine Hossenfelder YouTube video. In fact, she even includes some of her own personal thoughts on the topic, so
Hmm.
we've got lots to cover. And the big question we're going to be tackling is, are EVs really going to be the thing that saves the planet? Or is it more complicated than that? I mean, Sabine even talks about this new battery tech that could maybe charge your car as fast as filling up a gas tank. That would be amazing.
There's definitely a ton of hype around EVs right now. Governments are giving out all these incentives to get people to buy electric cars. And all the car companies are coming out with new electric models all the time. Even a lot of environmental groups are really pushing for EVs too. It seems like just about everyone's getting on board.
Yeah, it feels like there's this huge wave of optimism about EVs right now. And I get it. A lot of the arguments for EVs make a lot of sense, like less air pollution and helping to slow down climate change. Those are big things.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got to admit that electric motors are just way more efficient than those old gas-guzzling engines.
Yeah. And imagine how much quieter cities would be if all the cars were electric. No more of that loud engine noise or people honking their horns all the time.
I know, right? That'd be so nice. But then you have someone like Sabine Hossenfelder coming in and making us think about things a little differently. She's a theoretical physicist. And she's basically saying, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take a closer look at this whole EV thing. And you know what? I think she makes some really important points.
Yeah, one of her big concerns is about the infrastructure. Like, if everyone suddenly switched to EVs, would our power grid be able to handle all those cars charging? And would there even be enough charging stations for everyone? She thinks it could be a real logistical nightmare.
Yeah, she's basically saying that it could be really expensive and take a long time to get everything in place.
Right.
Plus, she's also worried about the environmental impacts of actually making all those EV batteries. I mean, think about all the mining that has to happen to get the materials
Yeah.
and all the energy it takes to manufacture the batteries.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we're really just switching one kind of pollution for another.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Sabine also makes this interesting argument about the bigger picture. Like, she says we should be thinking about the efficiency of the entire transportation system, not just focusing on individual cars. So it's not just about whether an electric car is more efficient than a gas car. It's about how we can make our whole transportation system more efficient.
That makes sense. So maybe switching everyone over to electric cars isn't the only answer.
Right. And she's also pretty skeptical about whether EVs are really scalable. Like, can we actually produce enough batteries to support a whole world where everyone is driving electric? Especially when you consider that we're using limited resources to make them. That's a pretty big question.
It is. I mean, it's a really fundamental question.
Yeah.
So where does the battery stuff come in?
Well, that's where Sabine's deep dive into battery technology comes in. And it's honestly super interesting. She starts by talking about the thing that everyone thinks about when they think about EVs, which is charging time. We've all been there. Waiting for our phones or laptops to charge can be super annoying.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't even imagine having to wait for my car to charge. That would be the worst.
Exactly. But Sabine does a really good job of explaining how batteries actually work, like what's going on inside them. And she makes it really clear and easy to understand.
I was actually surprised by how much I understood.
Yeah. So she talks about how a battery has these three main parts: the anode, the cathode, and the electrolyte.
Right.
And she basically says that you can think of it like a sandwich. The anode and cathode are like the pieces of bread, and the electrolyte is the filling in the middle. And these three parts work together to store and release energy.
Okay, that's a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It definitely helps to visualize it. Yeah. And then she talks about why lithium-ion batteries have become so popular.
Which is because they're really good at holding a charge. And they can last for a long time, plus they can store a lot of energy. So they're kind of the ideal battery for a lot of applications.
Right, like our phones and laptops.
Exactly.
But then she mentions this crazy new battery technology that's being developed at Cornell University. And get this, it can apparently charge in just 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They're using lithium and indium in this new battery.
2 minutes. That's insane. Imagine being able to charge your car in the time it takes to grab a coffee.
I know, right? It would completely change the game.
Totally. But of course, Sabine being Sabine, she also points out that it's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah, she's always got to bring us back down to earth.
Right.
So she says that this new battery doesn't actually hold as much energy as our current lithium-ion batteries.
Oh, so there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
More speed, but less range.
basically. And there are still some questions about how well it performs in different temperatures, and whether indium is actually a sustainable material to use in the long run.
Okay, so maybe super fast charging isn't the be-all and end-all of EV batteries?
Exactly. Sabine actually makes this really interesting point. She asks, would you rather have a smaller, lighter battery that charges quickly, or a bigger, heavier battery that takes longer to charge but gives you more range?
Hmm, that's a tough one. I guess it really depends on what you're looking for in a car and how you use it.
Right, it's all about priorities. I think it makes you realize that this whole EV thing is a lot more complicated than just switching from gas to electric. It's like we're trying to solve this huge puzzle. And EVs are only one piece of it. We have to think about things like how we're going to produce all the extra energy we'll need, and what about public transportation, and how our cities are designed, even the choices we make as individuals about how we get around.
It's kind of overwhelming when you think about it like that. It's like we need to rethink our whole relationship with transportation.
Yeah, exactly. What if instead of focusing so much on individual car ownership, we started thinking more about things like public transportation? Like, what if we had really efficient and affordable trains and buses and trams? That would get a lot of cars off the road.
I mean, yeah, that would be great. But what about all the people who live in places where public transportation isn't really an option?
That's a good point. And that's why we need to be thinking about all these different pieces of the puzzle at the same time, like
Mhm.
making cities more walkable and bike friendly.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of some cities in Europe where they've done that, and they look amazing.
Right. They have all these bike lanes and pedestrian areas, and it just makes the whole city feel so much more livable.
I would love to live in a city like that,
Mm.
but I just don't know how realistic it is to think that we could do that everywhere.
Well, I think it's important to at least try. I mean, we're facing some pretty serious challenges when it comes to things like climate change and sustainability. So we need to be willing to think big and be bold in our actions.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm still not sure I'm convinced that EVs are the answer.
I don't think anyone is saying that EVs are the only answer, but they're definitely a part of the solution, especially as the technology keeps getting better.
Okay, but what about all the other stuff Sabine talked about?
Like what?
Like the infrastructure challenges
Yeah.
and the environmental impact of making the batteries
Mm.
and the fact that we might not even have enough resources to make batteries for everyone.
Yeah, those are all valid concerns, and we need to keep those things in mind as we're figuring all this out. But the point is that we need to be open to different possibilities and be willing to challenge our assumptions about how we get around.
Okay, so you're saying that maybe we shouldn't be putting all our eggs in the EV basket.
Exactly. Like, remember that 2-minute charging battery we talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really cool technology, but it might not be the ultimate solution. Maybe there are other, even better technologies out there that we haven't even thought of yet.
That's true. Like, what if someone invents a car that runs on air?
Exactly. Or water.
Fine.
Or
Anything is possible. That's kind of exciting when you think about it.
it is. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of transportation.
Yeah, it's like back in the early days of the internet. No one could have predicted how much it would change our lives.
Exactly. And I think the same thing could happen with transportation.
So where do we go from here?
Well, I think the first step is to just keep an open mind and be willing to explore all the different options.
Okay, so we've got all these people who are really excited about EVs, and they're painting this picture of a future where everyone is driving electric cars, and the air is clean and the cities are quiet. But then we have Sabine Hossenfelder who's saying, hey, hold on a minute. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's some serious challenges we need to address.
Right.
It's a lot to think about.
It is, but that's what makes this so interesting. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
So basically what you're saying is that there's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly. It all depends on your perspective and your values.
And what information you have access to. So I guess it's up to each of us to decide what we think is the best way forward.
Exactly. And that's where you, the listener, come in. What are your thoughts on all this? What questions do you have?
Yeah, we want to hear from you. Because this isn't just some abstract debate. The choices we make about transportation are going to have a real impact on our lives.
Absolutely. Both individually and as a society.
And who knows? Maybe one of our listeners will be the one to come up with the next big breakthrough in transportation.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be a game changer.
For sure.
So it kind of feels like we're at a crossroads. Like on one hand, we have all this amazing potential for innovation, especially with EVs.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, we have to be thinking about the bigger picture, all those interconnected systems you were talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It's like we're standing at the edge of this new frontier, and we have the chance to create something really special, something that's truly sustainable.
So if EVs aren't the only answer,
Yeah.
What else is there? Where do we go from here?
Well, one thing we've talked about is public transportation. Imagine if cities had these amazing networks of trains and buses and trams
Right.
that were affordable and reliable and easy to use. That would get so many cars off the road.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I mean, I've always loved taking the train.
Me too.
It's so relaxing.
Right.
You don't have to worry about traffic or parking. You can just sit back and enjoy the ride.
And you can read a book or listen to music or just watch the world go by.
Exactly. But what about making cities more walkable and bike-friendly?
Yeah, that's another big one. I've seen some amazing examples of cities that have done that. They have all these dedicated bike lanes and wider sidewalks and pedestrian-only zones. It makes such a difference.
It does. I mean, I love walking and biking,
Well,
but I don't always feel safe doing it in the city.
yeah, that's a problem. We need to make sure that people feel safe and comfortable walking and biking if we want to encourage more people to do it.
Exactly. And what about things like car-sharing programs and ride-hailing services?
Yeah, those are definitely part of the solution too. They can help to reduce the need for individual car ownership, especially in urban areas.
Okay, so we've got all these different options, but it sounds like a pretty big shift from where we are now. Do you really think we can make these kinds of changes? On a large scale, I mean,
I think we have to. I mean, we're facing some really serious challenges with climate change and resource depletion. We can't just keep doing things the way we've always done them.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
But it's hard to imagine things changing so drastically.
I know. But it's not impossible. There are already cities and communities around the world that are experimenting with these ideas, and they're showing that it can be done.
So it's not just a pipe dream.
No, it's happening.
That's encouraging.
It is.
So if we had to sum up this whole deep dive into one key takeaway, what would it be?
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's no magic bullet. There's no one solution that's going to solve all our transportation problems. It's going to take a combination of things: technological innovation, smart policy decisions, investments in infrastructure, and changes in our own behavior.
So it's not just about the cars we drive.
Right.
It's about how we design our cities and how we prioritize different modes of transportation and the choices we make in our everyday lives.
Exactly.
So we all have a role to play.
We do.
It's not just up to the government or the car companies.
Right.
We can all make a difference.
And we need to.
So what can we do?
Well, we can support policies that promote sustainable transportation. We can choose to walk or bike or take public transit whenever possible. And we can advocate for change in our communities.
So basically, we need to be more mindful of how we get around.
Yeah. And we need to be willing to make some changes.
I think that's a great message to end on.
I do too.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We hope you learned something new, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
See you then that time.